Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time once again on your Saturday afternoon for Inters action at Portugal, as you can see on your screen, for Tier 2 action. Scotty here with you once again, and we saw a decent race last week. Luke sort of ran away with it a little bit with Matty, but we had a couple of good fights in the midfield. But Portimao, people some sort of say that it's sort of mixed with Spain, sort of the sister tracks per se. Portugal, very similar layout. Some love it, some hate it. I'm actually quite a fan of Portugal, so looking forward to racing that tomorrow afternoon. But it is our first sprint of the season as well, so some more action here in Portugal as we will bring up the calendar for everybody at home. As you can see, round number 2, you see the yellow vertical line that says sprint. So first of our 3 sprints this season, and then obviously we head to Monza next weekend. But yeah, it's looking good. We are just about ready, I believe, in the lobby, right on 5 o'clock local time. So we shouldn't be too far away. So myself, Scotty, in the box, just by myself for the time being. Obviously, a couple of guys that did put their hand up. Wayne and Powers obviously racing tonight, so we've heard them to be in the seat, and we do have a full grid for you tonight, which will be very, very nice to see. As we will check this lineup, as you can see at home. So there you go, Matty in the Red Bull as usual, Ploidy and Wayne obviously filling the seat once again in the Aston. Marty B in his first time in the McLaren this season, obviously missing the first round last week, but he's in there along with Powers, our third place getter, probably one of the quickest drivers last week. But yeah, that should be a very interesting McLaren combination this week. Batman and NATO, we sort of missed him a little bit, but thankfully back this season, so we'll see what he can do in the Williams. The Battle Cat and the Little P, they stay in the Alfa Romeo. Brian and Luke as well. Luke obviously picking up our first W of the season last week in Spain, so can anyone touch him tonight in Portugal? Looking further down, Grenny and Jenneth hold the Ferrari, Daniel Starr and busting the Alpine. We got Kaya in the Haas reserving, along with Callie and Elaine Santa and Swiss Lord in the AlphaTauri. So Powers, Wayne, Kaio, NATO and your 5 reserves. The rest are the full-timers, as we'll have a look at the track details for you. So obviously 2021 was the last time real life F1 race there. 4.653 kilometers. The lap record was a 1:18.7 set by Hamilton in 2020. The game, I believe, should be using the same compounded tyre, C1, C2, C3. So the harder range of the set. As you can see in the middle there, traction, braking, all important with forward, the tyre stress as well. Just with the long loads with the corners, and obviously it seems like you do need a little bit of downforce. Even though that you got that really long start finish straight, you do need some downforce, especially in that yellow middle 2 sector. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see as we are just about to get underway. We're loading in at the moment. So while we look at that, just going over last week's results, as you can see on screen from the stewards, there was 2 reports looked at, Powers and Sam. Not sure if we caught that incident on stream, but Powers just picking up a warning for a dangerous re-entry, and then 1 LP for not providing footage. So unfortunately that gave Sam damage, but it was determined a racing incident apart from the rejoin. And Battle Cat got 3 seconds removed from his time, but picked up a warning for apparently using a little bit of the grass to try and make that overtake. So a little bit naughty from the Battle Cat, but he did get his penalty removed, which means your official results from last week: Luke, Matty, Powers, same podium, same order. That doesn't change. but the Battle Cat does gain a position from Jeneth from 9th to 8th. So looking at standings, obviously Luke picking up maximum points, 24 plus the fastest lap. Powers with the driver of the day last week. But it's going to be an interesting round. Obviously only one race in, plenty left to go. As we look at the constructors, Mercedes, obviously with that win, best team in Tier 2 on 34. Aston didn't pick up a podium last week, but they had two drivers both in the top 5. So obviously Aston's looking to be strong and consistent. So they don't have to be right up there, but as long as both their cars are finishing, and as you can see, both in the top 5, so fantastic for them. Red Bull and McLaren picking up the other 2 podiums in Tier 2. And then finally, overall constructors, we'll have a quick look at that for the teams. As you can see, Mercedes, they were the best team in round 1 at Spain, 82 points. Red Bull not too far behind on 14, Ferrari and Aston rounding out our top 4. Obviously Haas, McLaren, Williams, they'll want to have a better week this week, and we'll see if they can do that. But I think that's enough yabbering for me. We're going to go to qualifying. So just let us know if the sound is all good. I'll do a bit of tweaking for myself. So as you can see, we're about 10 minutes into the session. Everybody pretty much out on an out lap. So we'll wait and see. We'll try and find someone that's just about to start their lap. I think we've got an Alfa Romeo. No, we'll go the Ferrari, I reckon. He's about to start their lap. So follow Jeneth. So he looked quick last week. Didn't probably get the result that he would have wanted. But as we follow through with the DRS down the long straight, as you go through turn number 1, can be quite a tricky turn number 1 as he goes around another right-hander. So it's pretty much a triple right-hander, then you switch back. This uphill left-hander can be very tricky. We've seen a lot of guys in the past lose the rear and slam head first left into the wall. Bit of DRS down this straight as the lane center goes 17.1. So first flying lap, but Jeneth coming through the hairpin. And then you've got the right-hander here, and then turn number, I believe 8 or 9, the uphill right-hander again, another tricky spot. As you can see, a lot of long corners, and fresh tyres will be key around here as we come up the hill once again. So elevation changes as well, you can notice up and down. So it gives it a unique identification, does this track. It gives it a unique feel as we come through to the final sector now. And he's got the long right-hander. It's all important to get out of this corner because you'll carry the speed through the final final corner, but that's pretty much flat in the dry. But he'll have a bit of DRS. He won't have a lot of battery to the line to use, but he does cross it, and he does go P2 17.5, about 4 tenths off a lane centre as Nato in the Williams reserving finds himself a 17.1 as Buster in the Alpine goes a 16.9. First driver into the 16s. So there's going to be plenty of track evolution. It's just a matter of getting your first vector laps in. As we've got, I think, an AlphaTauri, if I can find it. No, they're coming in. What about the 2 McLarens coming around the final corner? I think one was given a tow, one's coming in. Marty goes into the top 9, 18.3, but I feel there's a lot more time on the table for the McLaren team as we've got Daniel Starr. DRS, he comes across the line, 16.8, Alpine 1 and 2 at the moment. So looking forward to see how they can go, but it's looking good at the moment for the Enstone team. So we'll see how these guys go. Less than a tenth separating the 2 teammates. You definitely got a few guys that probably haven't set lap times as of yet. Luke down in P17. So he's on his DRS straight at out of turn 4, coming into the hairpin. So it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, you're only seeing probably about a 75 to 77 second lap time around here. So it is a short lap time, just a little bit longer than what Spain is at the moment, with that last chicane taken out. as he comes through. It's just lovely to see the elevation changes. Goes purple in the middle sector. So obviously quickest driver. Safety cars definitely gave him a little bit more to work with, but he managed to hold off on Matty. Matty just couldn't quite have the pace to catch with him. As he comes down to the final corner, the flowing right-hander. He'll have DRS. Looks like he saved a bit of battery somewhere else in the track. He goes across the line in a 17.6, so a little bit off the front. So he'll be looking to try and get that spot a few spots further up. Nato, I think, made a bit of a mistake, but he will not go again. Ego has invalidated his lap, but I think he'll be coming in. So, a breather for everybody now. Most drivers into the pits to go for their second runs. So, 15 corners, 4.653 kilometres, 2 DRS zones. As I said, you got that long straight, and then a fair bit of downforce needed for pretty much the rest of the track. So, it's interesting to see who's running a little bit more downforce, who wants a bit more top speed. That's going to be the issues. Floydie, I'm open for some good luck, but considering that I've been commenting your other races for RSRO, I don't know if that's a bit of a block. Luke was on a lap there, but I don't think I'd be too happy if he was. I don't believe he was, as you got the AlphaTauri as well. So just getting a little bit messy around turns 11 and 12. I think it might have been Swiss Lord on a lap. It was just on an out lap, so he'll start his final run now. I want him probably to get a bit of clear air. But yeah, Plotty, hopefully you go, as I was saying, you got your first podium last time on Tuesday night, so hopefully you go well tonight as we are watching Swiss Lord. And you can just see, you turn your battery on early, you're losing about 40% before you even get to turn 1. So it is a little bit of ERS management on this flying lap. But the problem is you've got to have it on before you even cross the line because there's so much time to be gained there. So some drivers do turn it off maybe at tighter sections, maybe coming out of turn number 8, the uphill right-hander. But got a yellow flag in the background out of turn number 4, so guys just getting out of the way as we see the AlphaTauri going up said turn number 8. See, you can take a couple of lines through this particular corner of 11. Just got to make sure you don't go wide off the exit to invalidate or pick up warnings in the race. As he takes turn number 14. He's got one corner left to go, which pretty much is a flat out corner, as you can see. And then it's the run to the line. He'll have DRS, but he's got no battery left. Does he improve? He does. Goes just inside the top 10 ahead of the letter P, but that was only one spot gained. I think we've got the Aston starting their run. What about the Ferrari starting their run as well? So as you can see, they're pretty much 80% before they hit the line. What about the Merc behind? It's just a matter of trying to find these guys on a lap. The Red Bull as well. So, because it's only about a 75-second lap time, you've got to just try and be a little bit careful in terms of track position. As we have found Callie, who's about to come through the final couple of corners to finish their next lap. Only an 18.1 for Callie, so more time I feel in that particular car. So as we come around the final corner, Callie, can he move up? What's his next time going to be? Goes to 12, as we will get the lap data on, because you definitely want that on. As Marty B, as the Paddle Cat has mentioned on a flyer, they last in terms of times put on the board. And that got close to being all 4 wheels outside the white line, but he's managed to just keep it inside. Does he have an improvement, and how much? He goes across the line, and he goes into the top 6, found a second, 17.3. Great luck from Marty there. Needed that time. As we've got those guys coming into pit lane. What about the other Haas? I think that's Kaio. He's up by about a 10th, but he's got absolutely no battery as he rounds the 15th and final corner, so he's going to have absolutely no grunt coming to the line. Holds that 3/10. He's on 3 lap on softs as well. Goes into P11, so Kai will have some time up his sleeve. What about the Alfa Romeo coming across the line? There's 20 cars, so it takes me a while. Little P goes up into the top 9. As we got the Haas, I think that's Kelly coming in. What about the the McLaren of Powers? He looked on for pole last time until he got disqualified, but he does get a lap time in onto the second row. 17 flat, does Powers. Next we've got the Aston as we hit the 6 minute mark. Come on, I've got to use my words properly, but 6 minute mark for Wayne. Stepping up again for Tier 2 Aston. Crossing the line, he goes an 18.4 off the back row at the moment. But slowest of the drivers that have set a time. We've got Batman in the Williams this time. Obviously, neither Williams full-time driver in, unfortunately. MX and Broken Reptile. So, Nato and Batman in for the reserves. A little bit unfortunate for me, being that I'm a Williams as well. But I think we've got the Red Bull coming in as well. So I'd be interested to see what these tyres are. Obviously, with the sprint round, obviously makes it a little bit different in terms of tyre wear, or the tyres available. But Daniel Starr crosses the line. He improves his lap time, 16.8. Matty goes into a 16.9 that we've missed just beforehand. But Alpine looking fast, but it's only just over a 10th covering the top 3 at the moment, and you must admit Powers isn't that far off as well. As we've got Wayne, he's done, so he'll be in the pit lane. We have Batman. Now I think they're going to be in as well, or are they on a fly? 53.9. So they might have valid their first run. So, yeah, McLaren up there at quad as well. Websy, Powers and Marty, 4th and 7th. So, Batman coming around. I think Batman is coming in. No, going to cross the line. What can they do for a lap time of 19.6? Yeah, I thought their battery looked a little bit high, so they're going to set a bit of a delta. They're 4 minutes left. Batman's going to have to push a little bit to get in the pit lane, change his tyres, then have time to come back out. I think he should be right. But he's going to have to really move it if he wants to do another run. Interesting to see which drivers do manage to try and save a set of soft tyres. As Nato's going to come around and do his next flying run. We'll stay with the Williams driver. As you can see, DRS, we'll see what the top speed is coming down to turn number 1, about 325, 326. And manages to keep it within the white lines. Very tricky out of the exit of turn 1 because you carry so much speed through that corner. Sort of a bit of a weird corner with the way that it goes. DRS down this second straight. Purple in the first sector, about half a 10th. So we'll see if that purple, he's probably got a little bit of a wobble off the exit of the curb. But he just managed it nicely as he comes around turn 7 now, uphill turn 8. As we go around turn number 9. As we head around turn number 11 and now 12. So uphill, how's Nato going? He still is valid this lap. It'd be interesting to see how he compares to the top runners. Needs to fight about half a second coming around the final corner. As we hit 2.5 minutes, Nato, he finds a couple of tenths, improves to P6, but unfortunately I don't feel like he's got enough time because he won't be able to save that full battery back. As we see the letter P starting their last final lap now. We've got the AlphaTauri of Lane Santa. He's starting his final run. But Swisslord, he's about to come across the line. Down in P14. Does he have time and improvement? Comes across the line and unfortunately doesn't improve. Stays P14. Callie across the line, starting their final run because they invalidated. As Buster crosses the line, I was about to switch to him. Goes provisional pole by 100th of a second over his teammate. Daniel Starr is coming out of the pits right about now. Powers on his last flying lap. As we got red flags for the guys just maybe running out of fuel. As you can see in that middle sector, a lot of cars just trying to find space. This could end in a little bit of tears. As we head to the Aston of Wayne starting their final run. As we have a minute 8 on the clock left. So hopefully we can catch all these guys. The Battle Cat, no time set. Goes into the top 9, 17-4. So at least he's not starting last. As we've got, who was that? I think that was Letter P. His teammate goes up into P4, 17 flat. Nice lap from the Alfa Romeo driver. Adelaide Santa, what can he do? He doesn't improve. We got the Red Bull next coming across the line. I think that was Maddie starting their final run. It's just going to be trying to get the time there. Brian in P8. We might have to stick on board with these guys out front. Daniel Starr and Buster working together, so I think Daniel Starr will get a tow for this final flying lap. Floydie has unfortunately retired, only down in P16. McLaren and Powers, does he find improvement? He doesn't, he stays P5. What about the Red Bull? It's got to be close, we have 6 seconds left. Does Daniel Starr make it to the line? Oh, he must have as we just hit the checkered flag now. He must have timed that perfectly, but does Buster get out of the way? He certainly does. So Daniel Starr, he's going to be the one to watch. But we'll go back to Kaio, who's rounding the final corner up by half a second. This will put him in the top 10. Does he have time to catch it? He certainly does. 16-8, provisional pole for Kaio. Great lap, half a second up, had more time in the final sector. So now Daniel Starr has to use that tow. Does he have anything left? Matty coming across the line. Can he beat Kaio? He improves, but not enough. Stays on the second row of the grid. What about Marty B? He comes across the line in P8, 17-2. But it's all about Daniel Starr. He's going to be the one that we've got to keep an eye on. Letter P is done. Powers is done. So it's all on Daniel Starr. Can he claim that that pole position back? He's up by about 100th of a second. And it's very close that's all he needs. As he's got one final corner left. He only needs that very small margin to improve. Can Daniel Starr take pole position? No, he can't. He's down by half a tenth. And I think that's going to be it. And it's going to be Kaio at the death, putting in a 16.826. But look at the time between the top 4. That is 700ths of a second. There is bugger all. Even the even first to third. That is just over 100th of a second. That's how tight it was, and it was Kaio ahead of the 2 Alpines. Buster, that gave Daniel Starr a really good tow down at turn number 1, but Daniel Starr's obviously had an issue somewhere else, maybe in that middle part of the lap, maybe around turn 4, the uphill left-hander. He's obviously just had a little bit of a moment somewhere, and unfortunately hasn't been able to carry that good speed and good tow, and unfortunately did not improve, and that allowed Kaio to take the top spot in qualifying. So as we have a bit of a breather, that's a fantastic race. Fantastic race that we're looking forward to as Kaio picks up pole position. So I believe first time that he's reserving this season, but we'll have a look and you can see that is a nothing gap between first to third, and I didn't even include fourth in that. Matty keeping his good form going as well, but having a look at the grid, you've got Kaio on pole position, Buster, Daniel Starr, Matty, Powers, Lane Santa, Marty B, Luke, Nato, Brian, Battlecat, Ego, Jeneth, Swiss Lord, Ploidy, Gretty, Callie, Wayne, and Batman are your full 20 drivers. Batman and Wayne starting at the back. So as I make sure I've got all these right names in my little graph, as Marty is in P8. So fantastic qualifying. But Kaya, Buster, Daniel Star, Matty, it's going to be a fantastic sprint race. So we will wait and see. So Tier 2 at Portugal sprint round. I am aware that it does say Tier 1, so we'll just have to get that changed for you guys. But obviously, this is going to be a fantastic start of the race, as we do have the 5 red lights. We are underway. Kyo from Buster, from Daniel Star. And it looked like a great start from Kyo against the 2 Alpines. What about the Red Bull and Matty down the inside? Are we all clean through turn 1? No, we're not. We got an Alpine AlphaTauri around. And that should be a safety car, as we got more carnage with Callie and Wayne. So it looked like it was a lane center losing it, or he got hit up the inside. And unfortunately, that's caused all sorts of chaos, as this 11-lap race has got underway. Unfortunately, a lane center didn't even make it through turn number 1, as Luke losing a spot to the letter P, but then he has a moment and then he's been tipped around. So that's the letter P having a moment up the hill, Luke not having the time to realise, and there's just been a hit unfortunately around, so letter P goes to the back of the field. As we'll have a look at the tyre situation for everybody at home. Top 4 starting on the medium tyres. Powers in 5th on the medium, so he's going to go a little bit longer. So as we come around the final corner for the first time, we've had a couple of unfortunate incidents. So Plotti, hopefully you're all good. Down in P14 there, Kyo will cross the line. 1:21 for the first lap, but it's going to be Buster who wants to take the lead early. He gets into turn number 1 as the first driver. So Buster in the lead from Kyo, from Daniel Star, from Matty. These top 4 not getting away from each other. Powers and Luke holding in there as well. Remember Luke, our race winner from last week. Probably not the qualifying that he would have wanted, but he's bounced back. As we've got from 16 down, all getting front wing changes. As we come up the hill for the second time and round the double right-hander of 7 and 8. As you've got Matty holding in P4, Powers wanting to get a move on those medium tyres. It won't take long for the soft tyres to really start to wear out around here, but it's a bit of a DRS train at the moment. All the guys need to do is just hold on, save their bit of battery. It is very hard to get battery back around here. As we come through turn number 14, Buster still leading about that half-second gap, but it's just interesting if he's going to really try and push to burn off some of this ERS to try and get that 1 second gap. But as we come around the final corner, there's a couple of close battles. Buster leads with the fastest lap, but his teammate, I reckon, has already been passed by Matty, and that's an easy pass before turn number 1. So Matty up into the top 3. Daniel Star doesn't quite have the outright pace at the moment, and you can see Matty already been given about that 6/10 gap as well. So Matty liking the track at the moment, the track conditions, as Buster and Kai still fighting. So Kai did have DRS down that middle straight, but nothing done. You really have to be close behind with how short that straight is. But you can send a lunge down the inside. It's whether or not you can pull it up. As we come through turn number 11. Mercy, I'll hold off on the battery on the data just a little bit longer, because I wouldn't be surprised if you're all engineering a particular team. So I'll just hold off on it for a little bit. We'll watch this battle as we got NATO, unfortunately, turn 4 claiming a victim. So hopefully he hasn't picked up any wing damage, not from what I can tell. But we'll head back to the front. So Buster still leading, but it's Matty that set the fastest lap. He had DRS, but what about Kaio? Does he decide to go for a move? No, he thinks about just sitting back. He's still got about 7 laps left to go, so he doesn't need to really force the issue. But again, power's on the medium tyre. He's hanging on with this top group. And then Luke in P6. And Matty, he's on the charge. He's got pace, but just not quite confident enough to send the move down the inside of Kaio. He holds off, so got this battle for top 6. Brian sort of by himself and carrying his little group with ego. As Marty B and the Battle Cat, obviously those guys picked up damage early on lap 1, same as Floydie picking up the fastest lap on new soft tyres. As we come around turn 11 again. So it's good to see Buster at the front of these packs, leading. Didn't quite have the season that he wanted last time. Races sort of just didn't go his way, so it's great to see him leading a pack and Kai about half a second behind. Again, he'll have DRS to just keep him within, and he probably needs that DRS to defend from Matty from the look of it. As Buster goes to the pit wall on the right hand side, he just wants to break that toe. As they come around, Kaio really closing in, as we do have a pass at turn 1, Ego and Brian. So if these guys can sort of work together, they may be able to catch the guys in front, and their massive egos, mediums. If they're working well, he might be able to close back up. So it's interesting to see if Brian actually just follows, as Luke unfortunately picks up our first 3-second penalty of the day. I knew that was a bit of a worry coming into this season, that Luke's quick. It's just whether or not he can just hold his penalties, and that's super wide. That's surely another warning for Luke as well. So that's just one of the issues with him. Just got to try and keep within the white lines and then take advantage of the raw speed that he does have. As we come through, we're about halfway, nearly about to start lap number 6, and we've got a lovely six drivers in this lead pack. Oh, and that's a bit of a slide from Luke, but thankfully stays within DRS. As we come around the final corner, once again, Kai's looking a lot closer. I think he has to put the pedal to the metal to defend from Matty, and he's got to take the lead of this race. Start of lap 6. Kaio ahead of Buster, ahead of Matty. Daniel Starr holding off Powers and Luke in the rear, unfortunately with that 3-second time penalty. Ego's hanging on from Brian for 7th and 8th. Jenneth and Swiss Lord rounding out our top 10. Heading back up to the front, Buster nearly lost a position. Oh, that got close between the McLaren. Does he stick the nose up the inside? Doesn't get the best traction out of the corner. So very easy, just have a bit of a snap, just trying to put the throttle down a little bit too quickly. Oh, and there's a couple of cars that were wiggling there too. So these soft tyres are just got to start getting to their that first cliff and that range. So they'll just got to be a little bit careful with the sliding around, as we've unfortunately lost the Battle Cat running side by side with no wing, and that's caused the first safety car. We've got the other Alfa Romeo down in P15. He's spun at turn 8. So a fair few drivers unfortunately coming to issues as we do hit a virtual safety car. So I would imagine that nobody would be coming into the pits. Obviously no pit stop needed for this race. So it is pretty much going to be Powers. He's staying with this lead group. He's the one to watch at the end of this race once we get back to green flag racing. His medium should be fine, or should be a little bit better condition than the Sauce. But the Sauce, it's just whether or not these guys can manage it. As Buster, actually, he's down a little bit, so he's going to have to close that gap up a little bit. As we have a look at the Delta, guys, just got to be a little bit careful. You've got to watch the Delta. There's no point picking up a drive through now to lose all the spots and the hard work that you've managed to keep out of trouble, as the Battle Cat picks up a 3-second time penalty. So without that front wing, I'd imagine that would be just running wide a couple of times too many, as he does come in. As this is actually a long virtual safety car. We've nearly gone the entire lap now. So we're still under the yellow flag. Swiss Lord picks up a drive-through penalty as the Battle Cat has retired from the session. But none of our top 5 have picked, none of our top 6 I should say. So Swiss Lord was the only driver to pick up a drive-through penalty. And Kaya has made an advantage on that BSC ending. He didn't break the 1 second that he would have wanted, but he does have 9/10 in hand, so he won't get passed down at the first corner. But unfortunately, you can just see that gap sort of break, as I will turn on a little bit of battery now for the guys at home. So we're coming down to the final 4 laps of this sprint race. We've still got another full race distance ahead of us once we see the checkered flag here. So Buster, Maddie, Daniel Starr, as we do have Swiss Lord coming in to serve said drive through. So unfortunately, nearly out of the points, Marty B in P16 as we come through turn number 7 and now turn number 8. So Kaya leading, hasn't broken Buster. The question is, do you want to be the lead car coming onto the final lap? The obvious answer would be no, but you let the car pass the second last lap, and then you have a mistake, you sort of lose your chance. It's a hard call to make. As you can see, Buster just having a little bit of a moment as we got Alfa Romeo around the letter P. So Alfa Romeo looking very good in qualifying. Unfortunately, that is done. We've got another virtual safety car. I think a couple of these boys would have wanted a full safety car, but that's a retirement on track, because that car should not be moving. So that is a no-no. So unfortunately, that is going to be a serious report. Because yeah, as I said, you retire on track, you tend to not have the car still having all 4 wheels on the car. So yeah, so that's a little bit naughty. Obviously, that will be looked at after, just sort of wanting to make sure that we do get it on stream. So virtual safety car, 2.5 laps left to go. So surprisingly, we didn't pick up a full safety car. We are back, green flag running, DRS enabled once again, and Kaya has managed to break 1.5 seconds. He nearly got it to work last time by, but he has to do it. But he got it now, and then Buster has to really push to close in half a second on this last sector. He needs to close back within DRS. You nearly have to sacrifice all your battery just to make sure you're within that 1 second gap. I know Kai's still got 2 laps to go, but Buster's really going to get swallowed up by Matty, Daniel Starr and Powers if he doesn't have DRS, and he's not going to. I think he's struggling with his tyres as we come around the final corner to start lap number 10. Buster is in almighty trouble as Matty already side by side before they even get to the line. Matty gets up into P2, and I think Buster's going to have to let his teammate go in Daniel Starr, and I don't think he really thought that. Daniel Starr going to try and fight Matty as we come through turns 1, 2, and now turn 3. So Kaio, I think that VSC ending, he I think caught Buster unaware, or it just might have been where they were in the track where Kaio was able to put full throttle before Buster was, and it's just given him that big margin. Matty holding P2, can he find a bit of time to close up to Kaio before we hit the final lap? Daniel Starr, he looked to struggle early on. Maybe he might have been just saving his tyres just a little bit better than the guys around him. And what about Powers on those mediums? Do they have any more tyre wear that he can give? But Matty not closing in. Kaya has a 1.7 second lead, and that's going to be, I feel like that's going to be enough. Because even if the guys don't get DRS down in turn number 1, he's had great pace in the middle sector. That's where he's been strong, Kaya, all race long. And as we see him round the final corner for the second last time, Matty has to try and hold off Daniel Star, but Daniel Star, as you can see, is a flashing Alpine. As we come onto the start-finish straight for the final time, final 4 kilometres. As we see the onboard shot. Oh, that's a little bit wide from Daniel Star. Could make him a little bit vulnerable coming up the hill. They just need to make it. Look at Powers. On board with the McLaren, and the Alpines are going to go side by side. Powers, does he see a little bit of a gap? No, he doesn't, but Buster loses the rear end. Buster trying to get onto that sprint podium, not quite happening. Just that inside line, he just lost the rear a little bit. But that's, I feel, is going to be it unless there's a late lunge somewhere else. Powers not quite close enough to potentially get another move done. So it's going to be the battle of the Alpines for that final podium position. As you can see, 1.5 seconds, so he's got this in the bag, just needs to keep it within the white lines of the exit of 14. Matty in P2 getting that move done on the 2 Alpines. But as we come around the final corner, Kaio, he started on pole position and he's going to finish in P number 1. Kaio wins your sprint at Portugal. Matty in P2. Daniel Starr just holds off his teammate for P3. Powers, Ego. Jump Luke. Luke, that 3 seconds hurt him. Brian finishes in P8. Jenneth, Granny will come across the line. He went 10 laps, so he obviously everyone from 10th down had to box at least once because of the damage potentially at turn number 1. Double Ferrari top 10 at least. Callie in 11th. Wayne Morris will finish in P12 just from Batman. Swiss Lord and Marty B coming across or around the final corner. They'll finish in 14th and 15th, so not the race back from Marty B this season that he would have wanted. Floydie will cross the line in P16, and NATO, he's about a couple of corners away from the finish. But yeah, that was a brilliant race. And now we're going to have a race distance that's 3 times as long. Remember, 33 laps for the feature race. As we see NATO come across the line. So disappointing race from NATO, but again, we've got a sprint. We've got a feature race to come back from. As Wayne Morris picks up the games driver of the day. As we see the results, I'll switch over to the sprint. There we go. Kaio from Matty from Daniel Star were your top 3. Fantastic race by all 3. That entire pack, you'd say. But Kaio was the one in front. Matty, Daniel Star, Buster, Powers, Ego, Luke and Brian were your top 8. Luke, obviously that 3 seconds cost him a position at the end. Jenneth and Grenny, the 2 Ferraris rounding out the top 10. Callie, Wayne, Batman, Swiss Lord, Marty, Floydie and NATO were your final 17. The 3 retirements, Letter P, who did a bit of an Audi, retired on track. Battle Cat, after damage, retired in pit lane, and then at lane center, we lost all the way back at turn number 1, lap 1. So as we have a bit of a breather, obviously we will have our next race, our full feature race to go. So it'd be very interesting to see sort of what happened in terms of some POVs. I think it looked like a lane did get tagged in the back, but I'm not 100% sure. But that's sort of turn 1 at Portugal on lap 1. You sort of hope to get through cleanly, but once someone spins in front of you, a lot of guys in the back just all got damaged and just had nowhere to go, unfortunately. But we'll wait to see what the feature race brings us. So Tier 2 action enters. Thank you very much for joining us. Round 2 at Portugal. Proudly supported by Player One Sim Gear. Fantastic to have them all season long. So it's going to be very interesting to see what strategy these guys go as well. Obviously, safety cars are a little common around here, but then again, we only saw 2 virtual safety cars. The full safety car never made an appearance. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting as we get ready to start our final or our feature race, and it is Kyo from Matty. So is it the same situation, or does Matty stick the nose down the inside, side by side? They managed to just get it in. I think Luke goes a little bit wide to maybe avoid a collision, but we're all clean through turn number 1 this time by, as we've got a lot of side by side cars. As we nearly go too wide, that's a Red Bull off track. So Ego might be picking up a warning for that. As we come into turn number 5, you've got Powers and Kyo. So, and that's a collision at the back. Get onto that shortly. Kyo has gone from first to third. Daniel Star has made the move past, possibly at turn number 3, as we come up the hill to turn 8 for the first time. As we've got another yellow flag at the back. I'll just let you know if any of those guys have picked up any damage. But I'll just follow this lead group. Tyres for everybody. As you can see, a lot of guys starting on the medium tyres. Luke's gone the opposite, starting on the hards. Buster on the softs. So Buster's going to go aggressive. But looking at the position changes, he's lost 1 unfortunately. Kyo's lost 2. As we start lap number 2. Matty, he had the pace, he was stuck in traffic, so we'll see what his pace is like in clean air. But Buster getting back past Powers on those soft compound tyres, as we got Daniel Star and Kyo. That's Daniel Star running wide. It'd be interesting to get some position, but he's got to try and actually take the lead. So carrying a little bit more speed, contact between Buster and Powers at the back. Daniel Star not being able to get that done. Powers trying to fight off the soft runner of Buster, but Buster's got the inside line. Does he manage to get it pulled up in time? He does, but again on that inside, just doesn't quite have the traction off the corner. So plenty scrapping in these early stages, and you can sort of see that the top 7 now are the same group. A little bit of contact between Ego and Luke as we come around turn number 9 up the hill. Very, very close together. Luke will have the inside line, but Ego will have the traction, and there's contact. Thankfully, still facing the right way. I just either let the position go, or I'd probably let the position go if one of these guys. You do not want to lose the DRS train in front of you, because that will really wreck your night. And Luke, obviously on the hard compound tyres, he knows he's going to go longer. So maybe just let Ego just keep that position and then just floor it later on in the stint. But Powers and Kyo fighting. Powers up into P3. So Kyo not having the pace on this higher grid, and he's already got a 3-second time penalty. So that's a real early penalty to be gotten after only 2 laps, as we do have DRS now enabled down this particular straight. So Matty, 8/10 lead. Daniel Star now has to fend off Powers, who's looking good on this heavy fuel stint at the start. As we come around, we've got an issue at the hairpin, and that's a late Santa who may have had contact with somebody. As we've got a little bit of 3-car action. I think that was Nato slowing down, so that was obviously contact between those 2. And Nato picking up, or just spinning around Batman and the letter P at the back, going into the pit, so they've already picked up damage, unfortunately. As we've seen Luke and Massive Ego, now Luke's finally got that position done. Problem is, he's not going to have any DRS, and he's a 1.5 seconds behind the car in front, so Ego might be wanting this position back. But I'm going to sit on board with Powers, because Powers is looking strong out of the final corner. DRS. It stays the same, but does Daniel Star have a look at Matty? No. They hold on. Ego and Luke fighting again side by side. Oh, a little bit of a switch back, a little bit of contact from Luke. These two are having an almighty scrap. And Ego wins out this time by Powers. Thought about the move down the inside. That got close between a 10. Switched back to Ego and Luke. Ego's got the inside line. Luke will try and do a bit of a switchback. Ego covered that off nicely. Swiss Lord's now going to start getting involved in this pack. Floydie and Gretty side by side. Floydie gets the move done on the Ferrari driver as we come up the hill of turn 8. So top 5, all within about 3 seconds. Massive and Luke, this battle, they're really losing time to the top 5. It's good action to watch, but they sort of just want to settle it down just a little bit. But who am I to complain? A couple of drivers got a little bit of front wing damage as well, but they're staying out. It might be that little that it's not noticeable for them, but they've just got to be a little bit mindful for that. As we come around to start lap number 5, Matty still holds by about half a second coming across the line. Then you'll start holding Powers, Kyo, Luke and Ego fighting once again in turn number 1. This time Luke takes the lead. Where's Ego? Still side by side, down the inside at turn number 3. And I'd imagine Luke will do the switchback to try and get the better run up the hill. Oh, was that a little bit of a push off? I think Ego had the corner, but Luke keeping his foot to the floor as we get a better camera angle of it, and I think he's finally held it, but he's brought all the cars behind into this next train. But Luke gets the position up into P6, but can Ego get that spot back as we've seen the last 4 laps, 3-4 laps. Up front, Daniel Star really starting to hunt down Matty and Powers as well, so might be a little bit of management for Matty, but he hasn't obviously been able to pull away. But it's very hard with the long straight. Plus, I feel like a lot of these guys have gone downforce heavy. It's just that hard to break unless you've got really fresh tyres or if the guy in second makes a mistake. So Matty half a second again, Powers 2.5 tenths behind. As I said, he doesn't really need to push the issue, especially because he's only about now half a second off the lead. Daniel Star does move to the right, but there was never going to really be a move on there. Kyo and Buster. Buster really pushing the issue as well. Wants to get past Kyo. He is hanging on, but again, that early 3-second penalty's really cost him. Powers, meanwhile, had a better run through turn 4, but again, nothing doing as Nato picks up a 3-second time penalty at the back. Now, what about, where's this train leading? Luke managed to hold on. Oh, but that slide's not going to help him. So, could have easily been another warning in there as well. As we come through turn 7 and 8. So, those hard tyres should be feeling a little bit better than what the mediums are. But I think only the soft tyres should be getting to that first cliff now, and that's going to be Buster. So, it's a matter of how he's hanging on with the top guys. As Bakai's just struggling to keep within that 1 second. Sort of needs to get a little bit of a move on. Otherwise, he will lose track of the front 3. He does just that. Powers again. He's close coming around. He's good out of turn 14, and obviously he's close to the 15 with the toe. So, does he decide to go for it now? Daniel Star thought about it. Powers had to back out of it just a little bit. Moves not on. Further back, we had Jenneth getting past Swiss Lord. Luke picking up a 3-second time penalty as we've got Jenneth and Swiss Lord fighting side by side. Swiss Lord wins out as we've lost, I think we got Batman, I think, in further back. What we got side by side, that's Callie. What about the move on Wayne, but nothing doing. Goes Wayne and Gretty on the soft tyres. Ryan and Elaine fighting side by side into the hairpin. So Elaine just holding off on NATO. I think it was Batman and the letter P. Letter P has to get a bit of a move on. He's about to be lapped actually, so hopefully he can, with those hard tyres, go long, and if we do see a safety car, might be able to, as Batman, unfortunately, our first retirement, so obviously not his race, unfortunately, reserved for the Williams. So we've lost one car. These guys have to be careful with that Williams coming out. I think they should be right. Oh, we've lost Floydie and Luke. Then off the exit of 14. So I think Floydie was further back. Maybe Batman shouldn't have actually boxed, because surely this is a safety car. Yes, it is. Safety car is now out. Guys coming into pit lane. Ego, Swiss Lord, Jeneth, they made the box before the safety car. So, not sure what happened. Luke was definitely the car ahead, so whether there was contact, Luke and Ego were sort of the guys fighting, so did Plotty maybe have a bit of an issue? Or, sorry, did Luke have a bit of an issue there, and Plotty unfortunately having nowhere to go? Plotty will obviously let us know. But just real unlucky there. So, top 5 missed the pit lane. Top 6, sorry, missed the pit lane. But they didn't catch the safety car, so they'll be all under a delta. So there'll be no massive advantage gained from the likes of Ego and Swiss Lord. So Genesis has gone softs. Interestingly enough, whether he thinks that we're going to get another safety car or he's still wanting to do a two-stopper from here or another stop from here, the hards are going to be tough to get to the end, but they should be able to make it to the end. So as we see the letter P finally getting past that crash that happened on the exit of 14 in the apex. So the letter P will be able to stay out. He'll be able to catch the back of the field and he'll be on the lead lap. So Matty, you'd imagine all 5 of these guys will be in this lap. Surely off the medium tyres. Matty, Daniel Star, Powers, Kai, Buster will definitely be in, but Buster's going to have to stack. So we'll stay on board with Buster and just see how much time he does lose. Actually, that wasn't too bad for Buster. He didn't lose a lot of time, and he should be right if that collision held up the rest of the field. You got Ego, who has made his pit stop. He will be in green flag. Oh, sorry, we won't have a delta to follow. Ego has jumped Buster, so Buster will only lose probably 1 position out of that. And he does. He comes ahead of Swiss Lord, so obviously didn't quite work out for Buster. It was a perfect time for him to come in off those softs, but it was late enough for the guys on the mediums to come in as well and take advantage of that safety car. So, as the field tries to just catch up, as you can see, lap 9 of 33 of our feature race here at Portugal for Tier 2. Matty leads us away from Daniel Start, from Powers, from Kaio, from Massive Ego. They are your top 5. We've lost 3 drivers already. Batman, who retired in the pit lane, which he probably shouldn't, considering that we got a safety car because of Floydie and Luke about 5 seconds later. So, really unfortunate for Batman. He would have been able to at least close on, but he might have had some other damage that we're unaware of at the moment. But we've got 17. Matty's been looking real quick. As we've seen in both the sprint and the feature, he picked up the... he picked up second in the sprint. Just trying to remember. So he's looking good. We should be in at the end of the next lap. We've got letter P down at turn number 5 now. So we should be in at the end of lap 10. So that will give us 23 laps of racing. That's a fair way still on the hard tyres, but they should easily be able to make it. Dennis on the softs, Brian on the mediums. Brian sort of had no choice. He had to go on to those mediums. Obviously starting on those hard compounded tyres, so he may have to do another stop. He's sort of hoping for another safety car, actually. A safety car in about 10 laps to maybe then chuck on another set. Oh, actually, no, he won't have the second set of mediums because of the sprint format, so all these guys, if they want to change a tyre, they have to get to probably the softs. That's the only other chance you're going to be able to get, so yeah, it's a fascinating race we've got till the end. Obviously, everyone has made at least 1 compulsory pit stop. But whether or not you've got good tyres at the end, can you just conserve a little bit? Sorry about that, just getting a quick drink. It's been action-packed. Pretty much all the laps we've seen pretty much nearly 20 laps of racing, and it's been all action-packed. So we should be green flag very shortly. Stick on to Matty. Letter P should catch that train, and we're far enough from the pit lane to see the safety car, and we are in this lap. Prediction for P1. Honestly, Matty's been looking real good in terms of pure pace. It's looking like Matty, but again, it's DRS on that last couple of laps, and also keeping it clean and keeping it from warnings. As we saw Kaya already picking up a 3-second time penalty. He may be able to get one of those warnings removed if he got pushed off, but we've still got 23 laps, and it'd be a fair way to go without getting another warning. So that's got to be your management. But I think Matty's looking good at the front, and he's off already. But it's going to be Powers, who again is strong out of the final corner. He jumped earlier, and it's going to be side by side as we go into turn number 1. Who breaks later? Does Daniel Starr give him the corner? He has to. So Powers up into P2. Daniel Starr into P3, Kyo holding P4, Ego in 5th, Buster in 6th, Swiss Lord in 7th, Jenneth in 8th, Ryan in 9th, Callie is your top 10 as we're single file coming through to turn number 5. So Matty holding Powers. Do we make it through the hairpin? I think we're all still single file. We are so, except for Elaine Santa, NATO and Letter P. Letter P obviously having a bit of a tough start to the race, but he's on the back of the pack. But out front, we have Matty, Powers, Daniel Starr. Further back, Jenna's going to try and look for that advantage on the soft tyres. He should have a ton more grip than the guys ahead, but it's whether or not he can actually use it. Same as Brian on the medium tyres. As we look to Powers in P2. JP, this is going to be your battle, Matty and Powers. As I said, if it wasn't Matty my pick, it's Powers, and as you can see, fastest lap 20.051. As we start lap number 12. So a couple of gaps opening at the moment. Swiss Lord and Jenna. I think Swiss Lord lost a position from Jenna. So Jenna's up into P7, but again, he's going to have to stop again. There's no way those tyres are getting 20 laps. Looking at what we had in the sprint, those guys were really starting to struggle up to like 6-7 laps. Already nearly runs to the back of Buster as well, which doesn't help his chances. He'll get traction out of the corner to cover from Swiss Lord, but he doesn't exactly want to do that again. As we've got Elaine and NATO fighting side by side. Elaine's winning out after the hairpin through 7 and 8. So as you can sort of see, top 3 broken away. Kyle again. Kyle looks strong in the sprint, but he doesn't seem like he's having the pace to hold on to the top 3. And Kyle nearly out of DRS. Massive Ego is just about outside DRS, which Buster won't be happy about. Because as we saw with Ego and Luke, they just did not have... They kept fighting for like 3-4 laps in concession, and they just kept losing time. And once you lose DRS at this track, if you've got a DRS train, that's pretty much a race over, as we do see the DRS in action. I think Letter P's gone around. As you can see, he's up the hill visiting the grass. So he'll get that car turned around. Buster needed to get that move past Ego, but Powers picks up a 3-second time penalty as he sends the move down at turn number 3 on Matty to try and take that lead. And he's going to have to now, because he now needs a buffer. On board, down the inside of turn number 5. Matty's still on the inside. Powers gives him enough room. Powers takes the lead. But that's an early warning. That's an early penalty as well, as the letter P picks up 3 seconds as well. So now Powers not only has to lead, he has to brake. And what we've seen so far, except for Kyo, which he had help from a VSC, none of these guys have been able to brake from the train behind. So still, ball game right is in Matty's pocket. But Daniel Starr now sees an opportunity as Ego picks up a 3-second time penalty. So we only had 11 laps in the sprint. We've got triple the distance, and this is starting to come forth in terms of consecutive warnings, or picking up warnings, trying to keep it clean with the heavier fuel, because we've seen a lot more. As we have a look at said penalties, 3 seconds for 4 of our top 9. Swiss Lord actually has a 5-second penalty for speeding in pit lane, but Matty wants to retake this lead. Buster with the fastest lap in clean air. Matty down the inside. Thought Powers was going to hang it around the inside, but he's lost out to Daniel Starr. He just had to check up a little bit at turn number 1. That allowed Daniel Starr through, but then Powers has got him back out of turn 4. But then Daniel Starr, this is what Matty will need. Matty needs to push on. But Daniel Starr holds P2. This is getting interesting to watch. Matty, I thought he had it with 9/10, but DRS from Daniel getting that move on Powers with DRS helped him close that gap. So it's about 7/10 per second. As you can see, the tyre wear all on 5 lap old hard compounded tyres. So Brian, as we've sort of missed, he's up into P7, he's past Jenneth, Matty and Swiss Lord. So Marty's gone up into P10. And this looks like a bit of an aggressive pack as we got Wayne thought trying to hang it around the outside. But Swiss Lord, I think, might, not sure if Swiss Lord's maybe got a little bit of damage, but he's just struggling a little bit. All as Wayne has a big twitch through turn 14 off the exit, and that's allowed the Battle Cat through on 6 lap old medium tyres. And you can see the Alfa Romeo really flashing. You can see the Ferrari behind really flashing. Could we potentially see 3 wide coming into turn number 1? Wayne and Granny, both of them go wide, and there's contact behind between Elaine, Santa and Nadamian. So that sort of happens when you get checked up in your own battle. It hurts the guys behind, and you just need a little bit of awareness, especially at that corner. As Elaine and Wayne now going side by side. Wayne having another snap off the corner, this time at turn 5. Nato not quite close enough to take advantage. Letter P still in this race, turn P17. Oh, and I've just caught him at the wrong spot, and this is his car in the wall. And you can see the end plate left behind. So he'll have to clean that back up and come in for another pit stop. And it'll be mighty close to being a lap down, unfortunately, with how much he's got to go to the pit lane. So back out the front. Matty, as we're very close to half race distance in this race. Matty leads us away from Daniel Starr, from Powers. Daniel Starr closing in, but nothing doing. As we've got the top 4, or as we've got some side-by-side action here, or a little bit wiggly. Wayne's going to try and capitalise on the inside. He doesn't try it at 2, he tries it at 3. I think a little bit of contact. And Nato's going to stick the nose up the inside, gets the position back. So these 4 at the back really trying to hustle moves. Wayne down the inside, had the nose there. Nato holds P15. So battles happening all throughout. Marty B's now on the back of Kelly. About 3/10, and that is the letter P retiring properly this time in the pits. So we're down to 16. Oh, and Marty, not sure if there was contact, but that looked almighty close. But he stays in P10. So these guys, they're further back. They really now have to watch this car coming out of pit lane. No, thankfully the car's disappeared. So thankfully that Alfa Romeo will not be an issue down at turn number 1. So Buster's caught up to this pack, and he's brought Ego along with him. As you can see, Brian in the Mercedes at the back, but out front, Daniel Starr got within a 10th. But again, he's just not quite close enough to send a lunge down at turn 1, so then he just has to be single file. All this, I think Kaya might have run a little bit deep through turn 3, but it's going to be Powers possibly trying to get this position back. No, he holds. As we come through 7 and 8. So remember, the guys are all on hard tyres. They stopped when we had our first safety car. So they're all equal. Brian is 2.8 seconds behind on the medium tyres. He can go to the end, but it's going to be a real stretch as we see side by side Battle Cat and Callie. Callie sending a lunge down the inside of 11, but nothing doing there. Battle Cat holds the final spot in the 10. In our feature race, top 15 scores points, so only Greeny's missing out at the moment, but he's not too far behind Wayne, only 6/10. As you can see, this four-way pack still fighting, and they're not actually too far behind the pack that Marty's actually leading. And Marty's not too far behind Janet, who could be struggling, but lead at the race. We got 3 wide, as we got Daniel Starr and Powers. So, saw it a little bit late, apologies, but we did see Daniel Starr and Powers. So Matty, whether he made a little bit of a mistake or not, obviously didn't quite have the gap that he's had the previous 3 or 4 laps, and now he's going to have to come from third. But again, Powers with the 3-second time penalty, and now we've got another group of 6 safety, not a safety car, yellow flag. Nano's gone to turn number 4. Oh, and just doing doughies. Don't want to overcook those, so just going to watch him just a little bit try and do the rejoin. So he's back underway. So back to green. That area's clear. Green flag. So Brian without DRS, he's just struggling a little bit. Maybe those mediums have gone off for him, but he's lost about another second. As we come through the final corner. Oh, Matty having another little slide. Matty might be struggling on these hards for whatever reason. He was leading for the majority of it, but now he's not. Matty up into, or down into P4. You got Powers getting past Daniel Starr for the lead. So 2 separate moves. Kai's back up into the podium positions, but again, he's got a penalty. As further back, you got Callie fighting the Battle Cat. Callie gets the move done. But it is bugger all separating the top 4. Buster, he, I think, got DRS, but he's at risk of falling a second behind and no DRS this next lap. Lane Santa picks up a 3-second time penalty now. So penalties for everybody at home. Powers, Kaio, Ego, 3 seconds. Callie, Lane Santa, Swiss Lord. Oh, that was a big snap from Kaio. Could that allow Matty to get the move done? He's close, but there'll be nothing doing. But the worst thing Matty wants is Kaio losing DRS from the top 2. That will really start breaking this pack up. And as I said, that would be real help from Daniel Starr if Matty's not in this battle, because Daniel Starr just needs to hold within Powers 3 seconds. But as we come around to start lap number 20, we've got 14 laps left to go. Top 6 are within DRS of each other as we come onto the start-finish straight. Powers, 3/10 will hold. Kaio, Matty, Buster, and Ego. Ego's doing a really good job to hold on to this group. He's staying out of trouble. Marty B gets past Janet, who's on 12-lap-old softs. They really must be hurting for him now. So he wants to go another couple of laps to chuck on another set of the soft tyres. But he needs to sort of have DRS and just try and hold with Marty. But he might have gone for the position. Battle Cat thought about the move on Callie, locks the brakes. Nearly contact with the rear of the Haas, but they stay as they were. So you can see all guys have made one stop. Your position changes. Powers has been the big benefactor of this race so far in terms of the front group. Up 4, Daniel Starr up 1, Kai and Matty down 2 apiece. Marty is up 7, Battle Cat and Lay Center up 8 each as well. Your big losers, Luke was your early retirement, 12 positions down, and Batman lost 7 after his retirement. As we come across to start 21, Powers doing a good job holding. And as I said, if he's been strong throughout that final couple of corners, he may just have enough if he can just keep holding and maybe have the speed to hold into turn number 1. Because Powers is looking good through turns 3 and 4 that he's not at risk of being overtaken, I should say. As we watch Matty, I know Powers put his hand up for comms. I think he's glad that he hasn't done comms now, because he's been really, really entertaining to watch, and could pick up his first win of the season. I know he's a reserve, but he'd be close to the championship leader at this rate once he, if he does manage to hold this position. But again, you can see the top 6 all in a group. Ryan is now 6 seconds behind, so he's just not quite having the pace with the front group. And as I said, that's without DRS. You're just sort of in no man's land, unfortunately, with Marty B 2 seconds behind. So he probably needs a safety car to sort of make this interesting. Nado picks up a 3-second time penalty. But as you can see, that is a goose egg in terms of battery for Powers. So that's one thing he doesn't have, and that's a bit of an advantage if you're not first, if you're second, third, fourth in the train. Just use DRS to hold on to the pack. You don't need to burn battery until Kaya needs to sort of hold on from Matty behind. Oh, that got very close to contact between Daniel and Kaya. So you don't want to have a bit of contact and lose that 1 second to our leader at the moment, who is reserving for McLaren this evening. So I reckon it's going to get feisty in our last 5 laps, because the guys probably at the back of this pack, Buster and Matty, Ego as well, will just want to start moving to the front of it to potentially get used to DRS and try and take the lead of this race. But there's 3 podium spots for 6 drivers. Yes, some have penalties, but it's going to be fascinating. Powers wasn't as far, and Daniel Starr thought about going for it, didn't, which probably helped him from Kaio. As Jenneth is now in off those 14 lap old softs, he'll chuck on another set of softs to be rapid, but unfortunately he's going to have to come from a long way back to try and find himself back up into the top 10. As you've got Kaio really hustling Daniel Starr. And it'll be interesting to see. We saw Kaio look quick in the sprint, so maybe with these fuel levels coming down, he might actually have a bit more pace, and depending on his tyre wear, he might have actually just managed more. So we'll keep that in the back of our heads when we do hit lap number 27, lap number 28, when we do get to that point. But as you can sort of see, Powers is really going to be the one struggling with his rear light flashing. So obviously dry conditions. As we see Powers coming through turn number 15 to start lap number 24. We have 10 laps remaining of this Tier 2 sprint round at Portugal. Retains the lead coming through turn number 1. Kaio is right there, and that's contact between Kaio and Daniel Starr. Just a little kiss from the front to rear contact. Kaio probably very lucky that he didn't actually pick up any damage there, as Brian picks up a 3-second time penalty. I'd imagine at turn number 1 of the exit. But Kaio, just got to be a little bit careful. You don't want to throw away a really good position because you pick up wing damage from contact. But he obviously had more speed going through turn number 1. You just got to save. You just got to be a little bit cautious. I know the race wins there. You've just got to be smart how you play this. Daniel Starr's in a really good position. He's in 2nd place. He'll have DRS. He's only got Powers in front, who will not. But when does he want to pull the trigger? Is he happy to just wait until we get to the final couple of laps? Because as I've said before, we haven't seen a car break once leading. come onto the start-finish straight. Once again, Daniel Starr and Kaio. Kaio did pull out, but again, not close enough. On board with the Haas driver. So all these drivers doing a really good job. We haven't really seen a mistake from any of these guys, like a massive mistake. But Janice picks up the fastest lap on those brand new soft tyres. So that was pretty obvious. The Swiss Lord does beat him at 19.3. And I'd imagine Nato's not too far behind as Kaio sent the move down at turn 11. He definitely tried, but it's a hard corner to get the move down the inside unless you're pretty much alongside. So Daniel Starr holds position. There was a good effort from Kaio, but not quite. And what's that's allowed is get Powers another 3-4 tenths, because Daniel Starr's just had to open that corner just a little bit to make sure there wasn't contact. And I know he'll easily get that time back with DRS, as you can easily see. But Daniel Starr, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, all that ERS that he had saved up, he pretty much had to burn all that. So not only is it a time factor, but it's also ERS that he was planning on to use later on that he's had to burn just to catch back up. And all these drivers know how important it is to be within DRS at a track like this. Come around turn number 5. You've got 7 laps left to go. Ego's doing a good job at the rear, even with his 3-second penalty. He'll remain in P6, but he'll be looking to just nab a couple of positions, especially when these tyres do start getting a little bit worn. Just having a rough look, all these drivers are roughly between 42 and 47% on their hards, from what it's telling me. So they are getting to the point where they'll really start to slide around in each traction zone. They have to be careful. Kaio looking like he's just coping with it a little bit better than Daniel Starr. But again, Daniel Starr has DRS from the car in front. But again, this has probably been the closest Kaio's been, which means Daniel Starr actually has to go on the attack on Powers to actually defend himself, as Daniel Starr takes the lead through turn number 1. That was slow. These guys down and there's contact. Kaio picks up another 3-second time penalty, as you can just see him ride the curb. As there's contact and Daniel Starr's around from Powers. So just them bunching up. So I'll sort of need to see the POV of the cars behind, whether or not Powers did get a bit of a nudge from the car behind. But unfortunately for Daniel Starr, that's taken him out. He's lost 10 seconds to this battle. He's behind Brian now. So that's really unfortunate for Powers and Daniel Starr. Penalties. Powers did get a 3 earlier on, so it wasn't for that contact. So Kaio, he's broken DRS, but he's just picked up his second 3-second penalty. He's up to 6. There's your penalties, which we'll leave on screen from now. So Matty in P3. He is your favourite, I reckon, now. Websy, Buster's pretty much been at the back of this train, but he's been keeping out of trouble, and he's going to find himself on the podium at this race. Powers gets past Matty as Kelly picks up a 3-second time penalty, and Powers Powers has a 3-second time penalty. He now has 6 seconds worth of time penalties. So Powers is pretty much out of it. Kaio's pretty much out of it, and Powers just Powers, after that hit with the collision with Daniel Starr, Powers has just not found his rhythm. He needs to just focus, get back into his rhythm. He's still got a good top 5 position in this race. But Matty and Buster are going to be your drivers that are really looking good. And even Ego just needs to be within 3 seconds of Kaio, and the penalty difference means he'll finish on the podium, and we could see a double Red Bull, which will absolutely delight the Red Bull team. But Matty, can he close Kaya? We saw this at the end of the sprint. Kaya, after a VSC restart, he managed to get to about 1.5, 1.6, and he was never chased down. He could hold that. He could hold that gap. Can Matty close him down? Obviously, Matty doesn't need to. He knows his race is just with Buster now, with the guys with penalties around him. Daniel Starr is behind Brian now, about a second behind. As we have 5 laps left to go, this race has taken a shift. You thought Daniel Starr was in control, just sitting behind Powers, who had originally a 3-second penalty. But now Matty is now in the forefront to win this race, but he needs to keep it clean. Buster in 4th, who's been at the back of this train since we had the safety car. He's now in a good spot for a podium, and then Ego as well, if he can hold on to this group. So sit back, it's going to be an enjoyable 5 laps. Kaio, it's 6 seconds is a lot, but if he can break Ego, he may be able to finish on the podium still. As we come up the hill through 10 and now turn 11 for Powers. So this gap has sort of spread. I do obviously feel sorry for Daniel Starr. It was just the slightest contact that spun him around, and unfortunately just lost a load of time. He should jump Brian after the penalties. But again, we've still got 4.5 laps coming into 4 laps to go. We can still see a little bit of carnage. We knew it was going to spice up once we got to the end. As you've got Powers, you've got Buster, you've got Ego. Powers is actually in danger of losing DRS. Buster's looking like the quicker driver. As we've got a yellow flag, I think that's NATO around at turn number 8. As we've got Daniel Starr getting past Brian. So Daniel Starr in P6, but as you can see, he's 10 seconds off, or 9 seconds off the Ego train. If he can close 4 seconds, there's a chance as Wayne picks up his first 3-second time penalty. So plenty of action happening. Matty 1.2 now. If he can get DRS, it helps him defend from the guys behind. It's also Buster that he's racing. Yeah, some of those penalties may get removed, but as I said, we all know that Portugal is a hard track to keep within track limits, because you're just trying to push, trying to bring the car to its edge, and it's very easy to just go offline, or off the outside the white track limit lines. As we have 3 laps left to go, lap 31 and lap 33. Kaya has a 1.3 second lead, but he does have 6 seconds. As you can see, Matty will be your effective race winner if the times stay as they are. Powers in P3, Buster in P4. Ego is going to be the interesting one. Ego is 2.7 seconds. He needs to be within 3 of the leader, and he can find himself on the podium. That is the gap that we'll be watching for Ego. Matty, 1.2. And as I said, does Buster really send anything on the McLaren in front? Does he even feel like if he gets past Powers, he'd have a challenge to Matty? Just not sure. As we come through the middle sector now, the final sector. Starting with Kaio, 1.5 seconds in front. So the gaps are just starting to space out a little bit, coming around 14 and now turn 15. Start our penultimate lap, does Kaio. 1.5 ahead, Matty is holding on. But Powers, does he get close? Does he send a lunge? No, he doesn't. And that's the thing. Does Powers really try and make a move, knowing that he's got 6 seconds worth of penalties? Does he feel he can get a 3-second removed? We're not sure, but he's got DRS now. Doesn't lunge. So I'd imagine Powers will have a go at the Red Bull in front on the last lap. Further down, Daniel Starr, a 10-second gap, and he's got Marty B actually behind him. Marty B's come as more well up the order. And Brian there as well. Brian on the medium tyres, remember, and actually they get real close to being puncher territory on those medium tyres. He's gone 24 laps. Oh, sorry, 23 laps. Battlecat's gone 24 laps. So all these tyres will be screaming, apart from probably the 3 soft runners at the back, but even then they're starting to get to their limit, I reckon. But Kai's done a good job. He might cross the line first, but unfortunately he will not have the race win as it stays at the moment. Ego is 3.4 seconds off the lead. He needs to find half a second to find himself on the podium as we start our final lap. Kaio from Matty from Powers. Powers not close enough to send the move. Buster, he's pretty much out of it. Gives me either the shoulder cam or the onboard cam. Yeah, there we go, the onboard we want. So Powers, this is probably realistically his last shot for a move. And he can't do it. Ego can't do it on Buster. So Coyototic has half a lap left to go. Again, he'll cross the line first, but he will not win this race. As we've got a yellow flag, Granny touring the grass at turn 2. As we got Matty and Powers. Powers, does he send the move down at turn 11? No, he needs another couple of tenths to actually get that move done down the inside there. It's not going to happen. As we hit our final sector. Matty will be comfortable. We'll go on board with the Haas of Kyotonic. He's had plenty of pace this race, and in the spread, Kyotonic will be your race winner at the moment until it is Matty crosses the line. He'll finish on the podium on the top step. Buster in P2. Fantastic drive. Kai does hold on for that 3rd place. Ego half a second behind. He just didn't have the pace at the end. Kaio without DRS from the guys behind. He managed to, I don't know if he built the gap, but he just managed to hold on. So, fantastic effort from him. Daniel Starr, after that contact, he finishes in 6th, Marty in 7th, Battlecat in 8th, Brian down in 9th, Elaine Santa finishes inside the top 10, Callie, Wayne, Jenneth, Granny, Swiss Lord will finish in the final points position, which means it is a double 0-point getter for Williams. Unfortunately, Nato will finish in P16. And he's actually a fair margin off Swiss Lord as well, so there'd need to be an almighty massive penalty for Nato to score points. So unfortunately for Williams there. But as we take a breather, Matty, fantastic race from him. P1, Buster in P2. Buster had a double stack that put him to about 6 in the train, but he just sat there. Saw a little bit of carnage unfold from him in front in terms of Powers and Daniel Starr. But he picks up the pieces. He finishes on the podium. And then Kaio, he got lucky with the break. He managed to hold on to that 1.5 second gap. And then he managed to push to get ahead of Ego with 3 seconds less penalties. And finds himself on the podium. So, celebrations on the podium. It's Red Bull on top. Yeah, Kai had great pace, and I even said Matty and Buster, they had a great battle as well. So looking at your feature race results on screen, Matty, fantastic result, kept it penalty free. He claimed P number 1. He picks up his first win of the season after a great 2nd place last week in Spain. Buster in P2, fantastic result from him. Same as Kaio, first race of the season as a reserve. He picks up a sprint victory and a podium. Ego, fantastic effort. So short, missing out on that podium by half a second, but a fantastic result. Both Red Bulls in the top 4, that's massive points for them. Powers and Daniel Starr, the hard luck stories towards the end of that race, they would have been fighting for the win, but unfortunate, they had contact. Marty, Battlecat, Brian and Elaine Santa finished inside your top 10, as I said before. Callie, Wayne, Jenneth, Rennie, Swiss Lord, where your point scorer is. Natto just missing out, but he does get the fastest lap. And then the letter P, Ploidy, Batman, and I forgot missed who that last one was. It was Luke, of course. Luke and Ploidy having that big collision at turn 14. So as we have a bit of a breather, we'll get these boys in. I will try and get these quick results up because I want to sort of see where we were. So I'll save that one. But yeah, just while we wait for the drivers to hop into the comms box, who do you guys give your drive of the day to? As I said, there was some plenty of drives, great battles in that pack. And as I said, it's going to be a tough one to decide. As I said, Matty, he looked like he had pace all race long, but it's going to be fantastic to just see what you guys reckon. As I believe, I've had a quick look. I think we may have everybody in here. We got Buster in here first. Hopefully we can get these guys into the Discord. Alright, so we're having a few issues getting the guys in. So we will change to the filler screen, have a little bit of that background music on. But yeah, fantastic race. While we're getting the other guys in, we'll have a chat to Buster. Buster, P2, fantastic result from you. A little bit of carnage late in the end there, but you had great pace. Obviously had the double stack behind your teammate, but as I said, fantastic race from you. Well done.
No, thanks, Scotty. Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yeah, should be able to hear you.
Yep.
But yeah, great race from you.
Yeah, thanks, Scotty. Yeah, it was just a bit unfortunate at the end there. I was in a party with my teammate Daniel, and with all them pens there, Daniel was on for that win and getting spun in the last few laps. It was just a bit disappointing, but we're still grateful to get second and sixth. But yeah, just a bit disappointing to get Daniel getting spun on that last few laps there. But overall, over than that, it was pretty. It was a pretty that top five. The whole race was just battles, and I was just trying to save my errors as much. And me and Daniel were working as a team, and then yeah. But overall, it was a good race.
Yeah, that's what we saw. It looked like we constantly kept seeing a 5-car or 6-car train that we saw from other guys and other battles, that once you battled with someone and you lost DRS, you just lost a whole chunk of time lap after lap.
Yeah, it was just sticking with those with the top runners. I got a pretty bad start, to be honest, in the main race. Sprint was pretty good. Main race bogged the start. But yeah, that 5-train battle was pretty hard to pass. I think everyone was just in the train, DRS burning a little. It was just the top 2, top 3 kept switching with the one without DRS. But yeah, me, Matty, Powers, Ego, all them were just it was a good race, but good race, good battles. Just unfortunate for Daniel.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him. Your sprint as well. I think you went all right in the sprint. You look good early on. And I think you finished.
The last few laps in the sprint, my tyres were just dying. They were dead in the last few laps. So that's what I think happened there. And I just said to Daniel a few laps to go, you pass, you go, because he was putting in quicker lap times. My tyres were dying. His was still not too bad. But overall, good points for the team.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's obviously what you want P4 in the sprint that I can see. Hopefully you guys can see the results there. Your middle result is your sprint, and your one on the right is the feature. So obviously P2, P4, fantastic result, Buster. Next week, Next week we have, if I have a quick look at the calendar without switching the screen over, Monza, that's right. Monza next week. Obviously, your normal round once again. How are you feeling about that? Because that's going to be a tough one. We sort of know the issues that we can sometimes have around there.
Yeah, turn 1, turn 2, opening lap. It's going to be pretty chaotic. If everyone's listening, yeah, just take it easy next week into turn 1. We should all have a good race. Nah, Monza's not a bad track. I don't mind Monza. Should be very fast-paced race next week at Monza, but yeah, can't wait.
Yeah. It's going to be a fascinating race. As I said, Portugal, obviously, a little bit like Spain in terms of the layout. Obviously, you had a bit of DRS battles. I think Monza, obviously, a lot less wings and downforce people are running. So you're going to see a lot more top end speed. And yeah, turn 1, 2 is always interesting with the also with the 3 separate chicanes, and then obviously Parabolica trying to get the run off there down the start finish straight. So it's going to be very interesting nonetheless. But
Exactly.
but brilliant job, Buster. We'll see you next week. Fantastic double top 5 from you.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, guys. Up the Alpines.
Yeah, they'd be a fairly happy Alpine team with the results tonight. Next one we've got, I think we've got all the guys in here. We'll start with you, Kyo. Fantastic drive from you. Obviously, the penalties hurt you in the end there in the feature, but you won the sprint. P3 in the feature. First race reserving this season, and what a result to cap it off.
Cheers, thanks.
Oh, come on, that's it.
What do you want from me, Scotty?
I don't know.
I showed up, I raced, I stayed out of trouble where I could. No, the penalties, one of them's probably going to get removed. It gave me a warning for hitting a curb. So I snuck just under, I think I just got under Buster, so I might be able to get that P2. But no, just went out there and the boys got a jump on me in the feature, and I just had to sit behind them. They had great straight line speed, whereas I had quartering speed. So when I was out in front, I could pull away. But when I was behind, I had to be patient and wait for them to make a mistake. So no, good job to them. They kept it tight and made sure that there was no gaps for anyone to really make a move on each other. So no, it was a long, patient race, really.
Yeah, because it looked like once you got a little bit lucky with the VSC ending in the sprint. You obviously got that 1.5 second, and we just saw that you kept keeping that gap that the guys behind would never get you, and then obviously after the incident with Powers and Daniel Star, unfortunately, obviously you got that 1.5 gap again, and again you could just close. Obviously, you obviously had to push, knowing that Ego was potentially picking up your podium, but you managed to have the speed with those very worn tyres. I know a lot of guys were saying they were about 60-65% in terms on those hards, so would have been very tricky in those last few laps just to not lose traction out of a lot of those corners.
My tyres felt good. I don't know if they were up at 65. I think they were more around about 45, maybe 50 for me. So, yeah, no, it's just unfortunately I had to use a lot of battery to be able to make a move, and that hurt my late game strategy. If I had a bit more straight line speed, I'm sure I probably could have used the battery to open up the gap, and then Maddie would have been under fire. But I knew I had to try something on Daniel Star because he was just sitting behind counting laps because of Powers' penalty, and so I had to put him under pressure to make something happen, not thinking that I was going to come at him. And Powers, being aggressive driver he is, he didn't give up on it easily, and the two came together. So, like, it was sort of orchestrated, but I got a bit lucky, I suppose, because of what ended up happening. But no, I definitely tried to make sure that the two started squabbling.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Others misfortune is others' fortune, but nonetheless, you had a great speed. I think you've been quick here in the past as well, so fantastic drive on your sprint victory and your podium, potentially P2, but yeah, fantastic drive from you today, Kai.
Cheers, thanks.
And we will switch to our P1 now. Matty, fantastic race from you. We said Kai had pace, but you most certainly had pace as well, and you were sort of stuck in that train as well. But P2 last week, you improved P1. Fantastic drive from you.
Yeah, cheers. It was a hard one because I didn't have DRS or I was stuck in the DRS train. It was weird. I kept making mistakes into turn one. I think I nearly spun twice. But yeah, it was actually weird because I had P1 and then lost 2 positions and was stuck in the train and didn't really know, or couldn't really go anywhere really, I suppose.
Yeah, how was your setup? Did you decide to go, obviously, the high downforces you sort of need, especially in the middle sector, or did you maybe... It looked like you had a little bit more downforce than the guys around you, I'm assuming.
Well, yeah, I must have, because I thought my wings were sort of lower downforce compared to what they'd have, but they've obviously gone a bit lower. So, yeah, I think I was actually 15th in the speed trap. They were, what's his name was saying. So, yeah, I suppose I was.
Yeah, no, but obviously after that collision that we saw, you knew Kai had 6 seconds in front. Was it sort of just managing because you knew Buster was sort of the only threat then?
Yeah, pretty much. I was almost going to let Powers go through because Buster was behind, and I was just worried I was get double overtaken again because I think 2 of them were within like 7 or 8 tenths. So I was considering it, but he was too far back through the DRS straight, so I could just hold on. But yeah, I was just burning the last 5 or 6 laps, and I think I had nothing left after every single lap. So
Yeah, 100%. Because as we did see you flash late, but obviously great result from you, but also great from Damo, massive ego. P4 in the feature, P6 in the sprint. That's a whole lot of points you guys are bringing home for Red Bull today.
Yeah, the team chat's going to be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be. I think Timmy's going to be quite happy.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I'd be very pleased with your guys' work. Monza next week, obviously, 2 completely different track from what we had the first 2, downforce dependent, but we're going to a one where you probably don't need wing at all.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm 100% missing that one. So, which is probably a good thing. I don't have enough pace around Monza, but I guess it's more points now to try and defend the championship early on. So hopefully the boys can get tangled up in a few incidents and DNF and it won't matter.
Yeah, that's the thing. With you missing, obviously, unfortunately, you're going to have to sort of rely on a little bit of help from a few of the other guys. But regardless of that, fantastic result from you tonight, Matty. Great speed and fantastic result, P1. And not sure if you'll be back the week after, but whenever you are back, it will be great to see what you can do. So big congratulations to you, Matty.
Yeah, cheers.
All right, and that will just about do it. Thank you very much for joining us for Tier 2. We're 2 tiers down. We've got 1 to go, and that's going to be the Quick Boys in Tier 1 tomorrow night. Looking forward to it. Portugal, one of my favourites, so it's going to be a fantastic race. Obviously, a lot of quick boys, as we know. I think a lot of the drivers have checked in, so it's going to be very interesting. Having a quick look at the weather briefing, however, we do have rain in the quali, and I think we do have rain in the sprint as well. So it'll be interesting who picks which setups they go with. I think the race is dry, so I'll be setting up the lobby for that tomorrow. But yeah, quali in the sprint will be interesting with rain, but we will see a dry race for Tier 1. But we'll wait for that tomorrow at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Daylight Savings Time. When we get that right, we're only a couple of months from that changing, thankfully. But yeah, fantastic racing that we saw. Very close, a lot of train DRS that we saw. But as I said, that's just sort of the nature of Portugal. So, but thank you everyone for watching. Great having you with us for this sprint round at Portugal. Tier 2 tomorrow night is Tier 1. So until then, we will see you later.